What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to part 2 of day 3 of Commander Masters spoilers and reveals. At the end of the video I did this morning, I did tease that there were some huge announcements that had come out all around the time I finished up recording, and since then there have been even more, to a point where I can confidently say I am in on this set before I even get into the reveals. Now, what does that mean? Am I planning on buying a bunch of product? Probably not. I'll probably pick up singles, but I definitely am more apt to crack some packs of this, maybe even go with the direction of a collector booster or a draft box depending on the price, because while they really stepped it up, and it seems like maybe the conspiracy theories of people who were saving, saying they were saving some stuff for the later days of the reveals were true. That being said, let's jump into the video and take a look. Alright, thanks everybody for checking out the video, and if you guys caught the last one, like I said, we did talk about Demonic Tutor at the very end. Still a crazy, crazy cool card. This artwork is absolutely gorgeous. And Demonic Tutor has been reprinted many times over the years, but it has not done much for its price. I don't really expect that to change here. I honestly don't think it's going to drop significantly, but it could drop to like 25-ish, which might be nice for people that are looking to pick up a copy. So it's definitely a good inclusion. I do wish that it had been a rare instead, obviously for, the reasons of being able to obtain them easier, but it's a great card, and they still need some mythics to actually, fill the set and have the set be worthwhile. And I will say one of the strengths of this video and sort of the upcoming slate of cards we're going to cover is they did really hit on a lot of the mythics. So the mythic slot looks a lot better than it did before this morning. So Demonic Tutor is a really, really good inclusion, and I am pumped about it. But speaking of mythics, Balefire Dragon, and just take a second to look at how absolutely amazing this artwork is. Scott Fisher, you have outdone yourself, sir. This is really cool with the flames kind of going over the text and like that unique style. This card was like 30-40 bucks and desperately needed a reprint. It's such a good card, and it's really, really popular in certain commander decks, and it just honestly has been extremely scarce for a while. It was reprinted, I think, in Ultimate Masters, but that's pretty much the last time. So a home run hit with a crazy artwork to boot. I am really, really excited about this one, and I am hopeful other people are too. I definitely think it's going to be one that a lot of people are interested in. Balefire Dragon is a great mythic inclusion in the set, and this border list, I really want to get my hands on a copy of this once this comes out. So I hope it's not too expensive, because it is just absolutely unreal from an aesthetic standpoint. So a home run hit there. Now, Loyal Retainers, I actually didn't even know this card existed, and when I first saw it, I just kind of dismissed it, and then I looked into it a little bit. This is from Portal 3 Kingdoms, and this is actually like a $55, $60 card. It only had one other reprint, and I think it was as part of a specialty set. This card's just really good, and apparently when it came out, I didn't play back in the days of Portal, but really there weren't that many legendaries, so it wasn't that good. Nowadays, especially in Commander, I mean, this card is absolutely insane with what it can do, basically sacking itself to reanimate for 3 mana. This can just cheese out so many of your bigger creatures, and it's just an awesome, awesome reprint that I never would have expected because I didn't even know it existed, but it's good to see a card at that price point getting reprinted. Hopefully it'll drop in price, and I would imagine the scarcity played a big part in that, but we'll have to wait and see whether or not the price drops. But again, another mythic, 3 in a row, that's just an absolute home run. Now, Treasure Nabber is a decent card. It just got reprinted in the Lord of the Rings precon as well. Seems like they double dipped on a lot of these, which is fine. I mean, it's kind of, being in a precon is not the same as being in a set, so I get that. Treasure Nabber is a really good card, and it's good for goblins. It's decent for certain red decks as a whole. Not a bad rare. I think it was maybe $4 or $5, but it's a good card, and it does have a really cool artwork, sort of in line with the Dockside Extortionist extended art we got last year. Well, not extended, but you know what I mean, the actual specialty version art of Dockside Extortionist. So, really good card, really nice inclusion, nice for a rare that's actually going to be half decent. And then we get to one that's certainly going to be controversial, but good, Smothering Tithe. Obviously, this reprint is highly welcomed by everyone. It was reprinted in Double Masters 22, and it dropped the price down from about 45 to about 30-ish. Definitely not bad, and we're happy to see a $15 price drop. However, they have now upshifted this to Mythic. Now, I don't know why, because it was a rare in the previous set, so I would have imagined they would keep it the same, but I'm guessing it's A, they need to fill the Mythic slots, and B, because this card could be good in draft formats. Those are the two, obviously that, and maybe just like the greed element of it, wanting to create more chase cards. But it's kind of okay. I mean, this is a really good card, and it kind of deserves that Mythic slot, especially compared to some of the other Mythics we've seen here. And I just am happy that it's getting another reprint. So hopefully it does, drop the price a bit. But being a Mythic, it's not going to be as accessible. I'd like to think, though, that you could probably get a Smothering Tithe for 20 bucks when all is said and done with these, these reprints. Reliquary Tower, I'll just make a quick mention of this. Definitely a really nice uncommon. It's a card that always gets reprinted and always ends up being a few bucks. It's got a really cool extended art version here that hopefully won't be too hard to pull, so A+ on that one. The Great Henge. This is getting reprinted again right after being a box topper, which is really cool to see. It went from about 75 down to 50 with the box topper, but hopefully this will bring it down even further. And with the Wilds of Eldraine coming out later this year, you know, maybe we'll see it get another reprint in standard. I don't know. But either way, this card is a really, really welcome reprint, and I'm glad they're not being greedy and like withholding it because they just put it in the box topper. This is an awesome inclusion. So that is 4 Mythics in a row that have just completely raised the game of the Mythic inclusions. Balan Wandering Knight. This is a really good card, not super pricey, about $7. It did get reprinted with a waifu art in Jumpstart 22 that is the more valuable of the two, but again, this can finally come in a foil, I believe, so that's pretty cool, and it is a really good card for certain equipment and cat decks, so happy to see it here. Not a bad inclusion at rare. Pure Steel Paladin is another really good card that artwork just, oh man, it's absolutely unbelievable. Like the Grand Abolisher I showed earlier, like just wildly cool artwork, and also just an absolutely busted card for equipment decks. It was about $10, but it only had 2 prints, and it was not very accessible. This is a really good rare that definitely benefits from the reprint. Heliod Suncrown, another one that was in that mid-range. This one's a mythic. It's not my favorite thing in the world that it's a mythic, but it's okay. It is a really good card. It sees a lot of play in Commander, and I think even in other formats. I believe this is a Pioneer card that he's playing Pioneer as well. And so generally speaking, it's just a good card, and obviously people are happy to see it getting reprinted here. I don't think this was upshifted. I think it was a mythic originally, but I could be wrong on that. I did my research before the video, but I also, you know, try to get these done, you know, at a decent pace, so I may have missed something. Either way, it's a decent reprint. Not the best mythic, but there's definitely worse in the set. Vandal Blast is getting a reprint at Uncommon. This is an Uncommon that's been printed a couple of times and has been around $5 every time. It's also getting an alternate art. I don't have an English translation for it yet, so I just went with the regular one here, but a good card in general, and nice to see it getting, you know, another print here. Hopefully that'll help drive the price down, but I think it's one of those Uncommons that just ends up being decent, so it goes up every time it gets released. Now, I did predict the Eldrazi. We've got it. Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, of course, is the second Eldrazi in here. And based on the reports that I read from some people who did the number crunching, it looks like we are only going to be getting 2. I don't think that Emrakul will be appearing in the main set. It could be in the Commander deck, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Ulamog did get himself a portrait art, which is kind of goofy, but also kind of cool. I've come around on a few of these, but I don't love the concept as a whole, so make of that what you will. Ulamog's around $35 still. He was reprinted in the Serial Secret Lair last year, which was a really, really fun and cool product, but, you know, not, again, super accessible being a secret lair. After, you know, after a while, it does kind of, you know, be hard to get those cards. So this is a welcome reprint with a couple of cool variants. Grenzo, Havoc Razor. I didn't know this card was like $10, but it's a decent goblin. It was only in a commander deck, and this is the first time it gets a foil, so it's solid. It's a good inclusion, and I'm sure there will be people who will be happy about not having to shill out $10 for a copy of it. Hammer of Nazan. This was TCG Players' exclusive preview card, and this is a much, much needed reprint. This card has actually been really, really good in token decks and equipment decks. Obviously, decks like Chatterfang, and, you know, decks like Denitha or other ones that sort of utilize that equipment element can really, really benefit from this card, and it's just very good. You definitely want to be able to utilize a card like this, and it was like $25, so a very welcome reprint and a really good card. Another really solid rare, which seems to be where the set is really shining. Demon Lord Belzenlock, I don't know how I pronounce that. I thought this card was pretty bad just reading it, but I'm like, oh, it's a weird, like, demon legendary. It's probably going to be worth money. It wasn't. It was like $1. So this is just another relatively lackluster rare that they included. I guess it's maybe got its uses, but I am not exactly looking to chomp at the bit to pull this one. Neheb the Eternal is actually really cool. I'm working on a Minotaur tribal deck I've been wanting to build for a while, and I skipped out on ordering this when I started building the deck because I was like, maybe they'll reprint him in here. Ironically, they did, and he's actually dropped about half in price already for his main copy, but this was $25 with not a lot of accessibility, so a really, really good reprint. A great card for many different decks and strategies, so I'm happy to see it here. Another good mythic, not on the level of some of the ones we looked at earlier, but still worth the honorable mention, and it's a good inclusion. Zetalpa the Primal Dawn, a good dinosaur that just does a whole hell of a lot. This thing's really annoying to face when it's out, and if it has a Swiftfoot boots on it or something, it's basically impossible to kill with all the things it has going for it, but a good card. I don't know what exactly it was worth, but I'm guessing it was in the $5 to $10 range, so it's a solid and welcome reprint. And finally, Teferi from Commander 2014. Again, no surprise here. We knew they were going to be reprinting all of those when they did it with Nahiri and Obnixilis, but it's still a good card. I don't think it's worth a crazy amount, but it's in the $5 to $10 range again, and not a bad rare, not a bad card in general, so definitely a solid copy of that card to get your hands on. Alrighty, that's going to do it for this video. I went through that as quickly as I could while trying to talk coherently. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below of all the reveals from today. Again, my faith has really shifted on this set. There is a lot of hard-hitting, really good quality reprints now that have been announced, and I know people are salty because it's going to drive prices down. Sorry, I think it's good for the game. I think it's good for the player base to be able to get more accessible reprints. And Magic has shown typically that even after a card is reprinted, it does end up going back up in price over time if it's good. So I really, you know, the purse clenchers who are really offended that like their reprints from like 20 years ago are going to be worth less. Sorry, it's good for the game and it's good for the player base. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. I will be back tomorrow. I think it's the last day of main day of spoilers. I don't know if the weekend's going to have any, but we'll keep an eye on it. We'll do a video tomorrow covering the next, day of spoilers. Hopefully we get some good stuff, and I'll pick up on anything I missed tonight. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.